What's up, guys? We are back for another one. Adriano's in this chat. I think we've got him on this YouTube channel almost 3 times at this point, right? So I hope you're not annoyed to see his face again, but we're gonna switch it up this time. No more slick backs. So this time around, guys, we're gonna bring it forward, not back. And we're gonna have a lot of texture. We're gonna go into like a burst fade. Actually, we did a video on this before. We're gonna go into a burst fade, but we're gonna maintain some of the nape, okay? So we're gonna clean this up a little bit, maintain it, and I wanna just keep a lot of that texture. So we're gonna mostly maintain some of that length in the crown as well, because this has been cut shorter before. I think it was a number 4 at the bottom. So we wanna make sure that we have a nice transition from these lengths to the back while still maintaining the length. But the real most important focal point of this haircut is gonna be the lengths we choose on top. Cool? So let's get right into it. All right, so step 1, we're gonna isolate the crown, and then we're going to isolate the parietal. So reason behind why we're going with this area first is because we have a lot stronger growth patterns. And the way we're gonna cut this is we're gonna go into forward graduation on the left side, forward graduation on the right, and we're gonna blend the back. But again, the very most important point of this entire haircut is for us to cut it naturally. I wanna see where the hair wants to lay. And if I still feel like it's reacting negatively, that means we're having more of a bounce. That's when I go back into it and I find it. So it's very important for us to be mindful of this if we're gonna go with a burst and lower fade. Okay, same thing on the other side. Again, hair is actually quite short. We're not gonna be able to clip everything. So this is how I'm gonna use tension. I'm bring everything forward so the water allows this to just sit nice and tight. I'm just gonna twist it a little bit and that's it. Okay, I'm gonna come now from the back. And again, because it's short, you can't really twist it as much. You just want the tension of the water in the hair for it to just sit there naturally. There we go, beautiful. There we have it, round cutting line, section 2 now. Over directed, not to the first, so a little bit of elevation, but we're still working with over direction. Okay, come from the back as well, bring everything forward. Again, same process, 1, lift, guidelines in here. Okay, section 2 into 1, section 3 now, boom, separate. Section 3 now comes into 2. Look at this, boom, bring it forward. How does that sit? Beautiful. Okay, now that we've done the graduation on both sides, we have to make a decision. Do we go in here and graduate it using these lengths? We could, but what am I afraid of? I'm afraid if we start connecting it here that we might actually lose too much. So I have to make a decision. I could go in here and actually layer it, and I could probably have a lot more texture and more control. Okay, so the difference now, guys, is we have our connection, but I'm gonna work with a lot more over direction to maintain some more length. Section 2, again, over directed to the first one. Okay, we move on. Perfectly connected. There we go. Okay, guys, so graduation's almost done. We obviously did the sides. Now we need to connect it. So all we got to do is elevate a little bit. Okay, boom. Guidelines right here. There we go. Okay, and how does that sit? That's the texture we wanted. Perfect. We could always go back into it and refine, but for me, that is actually sitting quite nice. Okay, so now we're gonna do the top. We're gonna add a lot of that texture, and we're gonna see how that's gonna sit at the very end. All right, the next most important step is figuring out how do we want the length in the front to sit. Now, what's interesting is as I was bringing this down, I still feel like this was too long. So look how easily we're gonna be able to just dictate that choice of length. Separate that middle point and take another section. And the most important part is going to be how we're going to want to cut the horizontal shape. So in this case, I still want to remove a lot of this weight because that's how we're going to get the texture. All right, so now we get into the fading process. Again, very important to identify where the graduated weight is sitting, which is right around here. Now, because this fade is all about contrast, we got to be very careful because we need to preserve some of the corners. Number 3 is going to sit right underneath that weight line, leading all the way to the front. Same process on the other side, 3 right underneath the weight line. Okay, you want to make sure you're brushing it forward every 3 strokes. Cool, so now this is going to be the most important part, which is where do we place our 0 line, okay? Okay, so now we're gonna go to number 2, and this is gonna sit right underneath our 3. Again, if it sits a bit too heavy of a line, that's fine, because we could always go back into our refining process with our thinning shears or our scissors. But this is how you're gonna be able to really make the contrast pop. So it's supposed to sit a little bit heavier. There we go. Okay, so now we go back with our number 1, one open. Again, we're gonna go with a descending technique, because look at the space that we have, guys. So number 1 open, right underneath that 2. Closed guard, right underneath 1 open. One closed. And now we go back with our open. Okay guys, so at this point now we can use our corners, and this is where the refining process starts. Okay, back to the same process, number 2, right into that white line.